Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a video that I've wanted to do for a while and I just haven't, and it is the 5-star TBR predictions. I honestly hope that all the books on my TBR are going to be 5 stars, but just being realistic, there are a few I've selected here that I have a pretty strong feeling will get a 5-star rating or a really high 4-star rating because I am a little bit stingy with my 5-star reviews. The first I have on my list is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. This one I think is a movie too, right? That came out a few months ago maybe, or maybe longer. I don't really know too much about this. It just sounds like it's a story of this man who's this really grumpy old man. No one really likes him. He's kind of bitter. And then this young family moves in next door to him and they kind of strike up a friendship and they learn about Ove, and it's just a story of them and Uve's life is what it sounds like. But it sounds like a really endearing read to me. Like that's a type of book that I could really get into. So I think I could possibly give that one 5 stars. Next, I have A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. And this one I just posted about on Instagram because I do have a copy of the book now, so hopefully I'll be reading it soon. But this is about a young boy whose mother is battling cancer, and then he starts seeing this monster, I guess. And I guess it's kind of like him dealing and coping with his mother going through cancer. And I've heard it's really heartbreaking and sad, but it's just absolutely beautiful. I really want to read this and watch the movie. I feel like if I cry a lot, I'll probably just end up giving it 5 stars. Next, I have a fantasy, and that's Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So I actually don't really know what this fantasy story is about, but I'm kind of glad I want to leave it like that. And I do have a copy of Mistborn because hopefully I'll be reading it with my husband sometime maybe next month or in August, hopefully not too far from now. There have just been a lot of people who I trust their bookish opinions on who have read Mistborn and really loved it and given it 5 stars too. So that's why I feel like I could be one of those people too, and it just sounds like a really wonderful fantasy to get lost in. Next, I have a TBR that is a book that's not really unlike anything I read, but for some reason I feel like I'm gonna give it 5 stars, and that's The Stand by Stephen King. I've only read one other Stephen King novel before, that was 11/22/63, but that book I gave 5 stars to. And when I was researching like Stephen King books, because after I read that one I wanted to read more, I heard that this one was compared in its greatness to The Stand. Like I've heard 11/22/63, some people say it's his best, some people say The Stand is the best. So that's why I feel like I really want to give it a shot, just because I loved 11/22/63. So I'm really more going off of what other people have said. It still has an interesting premise though. Essentially it's this post-apocalyptic story, and I don't really know anything about it. I think there are multiple character perspectives, and maybe I may be wrong. It's also incredibly long, so one day when I get to it, maybe I will give it 5 stars, but I have a good feeling about it, even though it's definitely not my normal read. The next I have on this list is a fantasy series, The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. This is the 7 Realms series, and honestly, what put me off from reading these books is the cover of the first book, I just never really liked. I never saw the cover and thought that would be a good book, and I'm such a cover snob sometimes that that's literally been the only reason. I've never even gauged any interest, but lately I've been seeing more and more people talk about it, and I've just heard amazing things about it. I just thought it's a really good fantasy story with courts and magic, and I don't know, I would love to get lost in another 7-book series again because that's always a good time. So eventually I will get started with The Demon King once I can get over the fact that I just don't really like the cover that much. Mixing it up in genres, I have next The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is a book that takes place in Barcelona, Spain, post-World War II, and it's about this boy who's kind of dealing with the loss of his mother, I think, and so his father takes him into this library where they've been keeping all these very rare books, and he finds a book in this library that he loves, becomes obsessed with. But when he goes to find out more about it, I guess all of the other copies of the book around the world have been destroyed, and it kind of just sets off this chain of events of him trying to find these other books. And that is my vague understanding of this. This is one that I'm more looking forward to reading it just because I've heard good things about it. So the premise does sound interesting, but it's more for what I've heard people talking about in regards to this book that has made me very interested in reading it. So I will get to that hopefully soon because I feel like reading some historical fiction. I've read a lot of fantasy lately and I kind of want to balance it out. I'm just all over the place with genres in this video. Next I have The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, and I've only read one other Kristen Hanna book, The Nightingale, but I loved The Nightingale. I gave that book 5 stars, so that's why I feel like I could easily give another Kristen Hanna book 5 stars. And all that I've heard about The Great Alone is that it's just amazing. I mean, it doesn't sound like it would be a book worthy of 5 stars, but I just gotta believe what the people people are saying about it. So essentially it's with this family that moves to very rural, very like low population. There's nothing in this area, Alaska. It's like a family drama of sorts. I believe the father's an alcoholic or he's abusive or both or something. And it's, I think, over a span of a few years that this book takes place, and I actually have been really liking books that take place over an extended period of time. I feel like I really can get into the story because I'm watching years pass through these characters' lives. So I am very intrigued on The Great Alone, only because it sounds like something just so kind of random that people are crazy for. Finally, I have Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, I think. My phone auto-corrected the last name, so I'm not sure if that is the actual last name. Krista from Books and Jams just wrapped this book up and she said it was just so good, and I feel like since then I've been seeing this book all over the place too, and I haven't even heard a bad thing about it. I think it's like a coming of age story. I forget details about what this book is about. How did I just hear about this and already forget? I don't even know. All I know is that I want to read it, and just based on the reception that this book has received, I feel like I could really enjoy it and easily give it 5 stars. I love coming of age stories and stories that are character driven, so this sounds like it could be right up my alley. Those are some of the books I have on my 5-star predictions. No, 5-star TBR predictions. Is that what this is called? Books that I predict will have 5 stars that are on my TBR. I don't know the order to say those words. Those are some of them. If you have read any of these books, I would love to know what star rating you gave them, because, you know, I would love to hear that you gave these books 5 stars. That would make me happy. Also, if I made it to the end of this video with no lipstick on my teeth, I will be very impressed with myself. Anyway, that wraps up this video. I'm not gonna try to pronounce the title of it again, but thank you for watching and happy reading.